When her blog was just getting started, Miamiism, it was such a big deal. Blogging was so new. She was cutting edge. She was really taking Miami by storm with the blog. She was getting recognized on national stages. She was speaking on the stage at Inman.
We see a lot of agents wanting to be like someone else. And the magic happens when you're yourself. I have so many agents that sit in front of me and they're like, oh, but I'm not video quality. I'm like, what defines video quality? What is that? You know, oh, I'm too quirky, or people don't like me. And, you know, so just stop that fear. Get out of your comfort zone. Challenge yourself to do something a little bit different. And I think it's that authenticity is missing. Stop being like somebody else. Try to find what fires you particularly and how you can get ahead. I think that's super important. The one that I always complain about is the social aspect missing from social media. So there's a reason it's called social media. So agents expect to post and expect people to comment. And the reality is that you need to give more in order to receive.
Welcome to the Top Real Estate Influencers podcast with your hosts, Mario Hurley and Alex Montalenti. Today, we have the pleasure of being with Ines. Wanted to make sure Ines is on season 1. Ines is a longtime friend, a longtime family friend, acquaintance in the industry. I know her like way back when in the Inman days, when she had her blog, when her blog was just getting started, Miamiism. She still has her blog, but it was such a big deal. Blogging was so new. She was cutting edge. She was really taking Miami by storm with the blog. She was getting recognized on national stages. She was speaking on the stage at Inman. And I said, I'm moving to Miami, so I want to talk to Ines. I caught her attention off the stage. We ended up working together. You helped my family with some transactions that were very profitable for them. And I was excited to continue to work with you. And I can't even keep up with all the things that Ines is doing. She's involved on a national level. She's involved on a local level. So welcome to the call, Ines Hegedus-Garcia. Thank you for being with us. And let's get started.
Thank you so much, Alex. And you know what? I remember perfectly the day that you approached me right after getting off stage. And you're like, you're in Miami. I need to talk to you. So that was amazing. You know, talk about how long ago that was and how our friendship has evolved throughout the years. So thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Absolutely. And what I want to also add about Ines is like, she knows the market so well that, I mean, I don't even think you know this, but one of the properties that I first bought when I moved to Miami, I was lucky. I got it at the very bottom. Like, let's throw out a number, like 123,000. And she ends up selling it as the highest price unit when I sold, like literally all the way at the top. And nothing close to that happened for years after that. Now the market has finally exceeded that level. But I mean, we're talking 7-8 years ago. She knows the market really well. She knows how to market. And no wonder that everybody in the country is always like, we got to get Ines on the board. We got to bring Ines into the circle. I mean, can you share with us some of the things that you're working on a National Association of Realtor level, NAR Reach level, Avanti Way level, so many projects?
Oh my God, so little time too. Where do I start? Well, at the NAR level, there's some really interesting things happening because I'm on the board of directors for Second Century Ventures, which is NAR's venture capital arm. They're the ones that do the whole Reach program. I've been a mentor with Reach for, I don't know how many years now, a few, let's just say a bunch of years. And that obviously, I love technology. It gives you hands-on time with founders of amazing prop tech and now fintech technologies that we adopt at all levels in the real estate industry. So that one's a lot of fun. Vice chair of the Federal Technology Policy Committee, which gives you like that policy edge at the Capitol and what's happening that we need, like broadband, for example, in the United States. Smart cities, there's just so many incredible projects that they're behind the scenes, as we can say, that are just super interesting and a lot of fun. So that's at NAR, in addition to being an NAR director. And then at state level, emerging tech, chair of communications committee. I'm on the executive committee. And then locally, this is a big one because I absolutely love it. I'm chairman of the board elect for Miami Realtors. So I'll be chair in 2023, and it's the largest association in the country. And it's a big deal, and I'm honored to have been placed in such an amazing position. And it's just really great things, a lot of beautiful leaders. I love my colleagues, I love the industry, I love everything that's happening. Obviously, there's always going to be negative things, but I like to focus on the positive ones.
That's a lot. I don't even, yeah, I don't know how you keep up with all that.
And
I always...
kids and a husband. I think my husband. But no, listen, at the end of the day, and you know, this is true. You know, if you don't have someone at home that supports you, it's a team effort. So my husband is my lifeline. I don't know. I mean, he handles business when I'm not here. Oh, and in Avanti Way, I can't forget Avanti Way. In Avanti Way, I'm executive vice president now. I'm branch leader. I run the Sunny Isles and Orlando offices, as well as being executive vice president for the whole company. So that's fun.
So is there anything you don't do?
I don't do windows. I don't iron.
Yeah, it's crazy because I see you on Facebook going to all these events nonstop, but at the same time, I see you with your family. I see you going boating. I see you with your husband going out on date nights. So, and then you're doing local community events like the mojito events. So I don't know, you know, you're busy. It's awesome.
Ines, yeah, you know what? I think there's something to be said about finding that perfect.
You're good.
Go ahead. So there's a perfect, finding life-work balance is not easy, but once you accomplish that, is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ines, yes, I just wanted to say, first of all, great to meet you. This is, I believe, the first time we meet during this venue, during this medium, I should say. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you in person. I have seen photos at events of you, and I know you have met some of our team members at Real Greater. From what I'm hearing, though, it sounds like you are like the perfect example of living a full life, but Miami style, where yes, you're getting a lot of stuff done. You are expressing your voice, because that's one of the things I believe in Miami we do. People always want to express their views, like their traditions, their culture, their food. And at the same time, you are helping with making progress in the city, in this industry. I would love to hear what is, apart from having a partner that is there to you know, hold the fort and support you and keep the business going. Apart from that, what are some of the things that give you the enthusiasm, the energy, and the creativity to bring to all these associations, to all these roles that you're playing?
That's an amazing question. So Alex knows that I'm an architect by training. So that's where my creative nature comes from. Real estate was very organic for me. The way that I got involved was because a family member bought a commercial building, and then I started in property management. My husband and I blinked and we were managing 20 buildings. And we realized we need to get our real estate license. You know, we lost a couple of opportunities. So my journey has been organic, but within that journey, I've recognized that being creative is very, very important for me. And we live in the best city in the nation. Miami is Miami. And funny enough, Mario, that's how Miamiism was born. So it's an ism, it's a way of life, it's a philosophy, right? So it's our way of life here in Miami, our diversity, our culture, everything that we have in Miami is so rich and so beautiful that you have to embrace it, you know? So I think the ocean to me empowers me. That's why Alex was mentioning the boat. And I think it's just when you just embrace all that positive energy that our city offers and you're creative, you got to run with it, you know?
Absolutely. So definitely that creativity and the fact that you are so connected to this city. It's not like Chicago or New York, which there are they have their own charm, but Miami is quite unique. I experience it every day. I know you do too, Alex, every single day. We are surprised by, a new cuisine. Even last night we were trying out some food. I was trying out food that I haven't experienced, and all of that is offered here in Miami, which you don't find easily in other cities. Apart from that, what would you say is a source, of your leadership? Because you're in leadership positions, you're an influencer. And that's one of the things in our organization, we tell agents, you are an influencer in your own market. You have a voice, you have an expertise. So where do you get all this you have creativity, but where else do you get this, content you have to provide to this community?
Well, at the very beginning, when I first got my license, it didn't feel natural. I'll tell you where it started. You go to real estate school, they tell you to put your picture on your card. And I was like, wait a minute, my husband and I, the architect and the accountant, I was like, this is not about me. This is about what I'm selling. It's about Miami's way of life, like I said before. So I didn't feel like it was a good fit the way that I was taught to market myself. And from there is when I started blogging, early adopter of social media. My Twitter handle is Ines, a 4-letter word, which is crazy. And from there, it was, how can I do things differently, And then there's something to be said about finding your niche, and you said something that's super important. I think every single person has something that makes them special. We all have our weaknesses and fortes. We all have our passions, right? And in real estate, it's so easy to marry a passion that's completely unrelated to real estate for you to market yourself. So what did I do? I specialize in historically significant properties and architectural properties, because that's my passion. I walk into a historic home and I light up. But at the same time, anything that was marketing, I was like, I'm not going to do the same thing that everyone's doing. I want a different angle. I want a different one. I want vignettes. I want to be able to show a property with my eye, the way that I see things. And so I discovered that being different was powerful. Presenting things a different way is super welcome by the consumer. And then an aha moment for me in marketing was actually at an Inman conference, Alex, out of all things. It was Sonia Simone from Copy Blogger at the time. She said something that just to this day, I say to my agents right now when they're marketing themselves. They go, when you're preparing any marketing piece, at the time is when you're blogging, you're going to talk to your favorite client. You're not talking in general. So I'm not talking, oh, I'm a real estate agent, look at me. Who is my favorite client? I'm talking to Alex Montalenti. I'm talking about, the way that I would talk to him directly for my marketing pieces. How can I get into Alex's head and find more like-minded individuals that I love working with? So that was just magic. And I think we all have the ability, I love mojitos, obviously. That was one of my marketing things that I was doing. But, is it burgers? Is it golf? Is it your dog? Is it your baby? There's just so many social objects and things that we can use today to market ourselves. And so that marketing edge just gave me that little extra. Now, leadership is different, because how do you marry that with leadership? And I think it was pretty easy. We have 55,000 members in Miami alone. Think about that. Okay, that's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
You can be one of those agents that sits back and complains how crappy the industry is, or you can get involved. It's very easy, And will I change the industry? No. Can I change one little thing at a time? Yes. So I made a decision. Let me start getting involved. Let me see how I can make little changes that ultimately will result in something, and community involvement is huge. And that's how I started getting involved. I started with YPN and Miami Realtors. I actually started before that through a pilot program through NAR that put, and I'm not going to take all the talking time. This is insane. So this pilot program was Todd Carpenter put it together with the CEO of NAR at the time. And what they did is all these early adopters, we were known as the RE-Net, it's grab these guys and put them in NAR committees. no one at that time wanted to be involved with NAR. We're like, why would we? And I was placed in a global business committee just to observe and tear it apart. That was my job. And it just so happened that the chair of that committee was involved in Miami Realtors, and she kind of dragged me in, which was maybe BC. And she's like, no, we need Ines locally. And the rest is history. So I was the first YPN board for Miami Realtors.
Wow. That's cool. You talk about the history a lot and the architecture. What, just for people that come to Miami, what would you say is the neighborhoods or the buildings that they should visit that have that real majestic architectural magic?
Oh my God. Let's start with historic. So our historic architecture is not as historic as when you go to Europe, obviously. You and I know that well, right? So 1920s architecture, which is Mediterranean inspired. And the neighborhoods are the Gables. You have Miami Springs, you have Morningside, you have Miami Shores, you have Miami Beach. So those historic areas are gonna, any of the cities that were developed in the 20s will have that historic edge to them. But when it comes to actually really cool architecture, my last post on Instagram was really funny. It was what used to be the Centros Tower, that's called the Miami Tower today. That was designed by I.M. Pei. And an architect client of mine commented on that, and she's like, I didn't even know that was I.M. Pei. So we have some treasures. You know, you have to go to Pam, that's a Herzog and de Meuron. If we're talking Herzog on the Meuron, you have to go to 1111 Lincoln Road. You know, that parking lot and the exposed concrete there, it just really seriously makes me drool every time I go by there. It doesn't get old. That building is just so amazing. What else can I tell you? I mean, Zaha Hadid's 1000 Museum, it's another piece of art. So tons, I can be here all day. I can mention tons of things.
Yeah, it's a beautiful city. That's why, one of the reasons why I'm here. I love it too.
Yes, and along with what you said earlier, you were talking about how you could be just one of the 55 agents that complains about the market, the situation, etc. Or you could start looking at something unique about you. And I wanted to ask you, what would you say are some of the qualities, some of the things that would make an agent pop out, succeed, grow, that perhaps is missing or you could see more of in the current market?
You know what? I think authenticity is key. We see a lot of agents wanting to be like someone else, and the magic happens when you're yourself. You know, I have so many agents that sit in front of me and they're like, oh, but I'm not video quality. I'm like, what defines video quality? What is that? You know, oh, I'm too quirky, or people don't like me. And, you know, so just stop that fear. You know, we get out of your comfort zone, you know, challenge yourself to do something a little bit different. And I think it's that authenticity is missing. Stop being like somebody else. Try to find what fires you particularly and how you can get ahead. I think that's super important. And then the one that I always complain about is the social aspect missing from social media. So there's a reason it's called social media. So agents expect to post and expect people to comment. And the reality is that you need to give more in order to receive. And that's the equation is you need to engage your audience. You need to comment on other people's posts. You need to try to promote other businesses. You know, that's it. A little less about the agent and us, a little more about the community and who they service.
Absolutely. And what turned you on? I mean, you're an early adopter of technology. You were doing blogs way before anybody else. Was there like, what day, what happened where you were just like, I'm going to open up my blog and start blogging now?
This is actually a funny story. We were spending, so my husband and I decided to dive into real estate as listing agents. Obviously, you need a budget. And at the time, it was traditional marketing. So it was postcards and print advertising. And we had a really robust budget to get started, but we were spending a lot of money every month. I was getting my headshot redone. And I go to my photographer in Miami Shores. And he's like, hey, Ines, have you heard of blogging? And I go, what? And he goes, blogging, how did you spell that? I swear to you, this is a true story. B-L-O-G. I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what you're talking about. I got home, I Googled blogging. I started, I don't even remember the free blogs at that time. You'll probably know better than me. I don't even remember. I started one right away, and it was supposed to be a journal, your daily journal, right? So I started one right away, and I saw, wow, this is kind of cool. I can answer questions from my clients. I can have a library of content. It was just one of those things that I'm being different. I'm doing something no one else is doing. Let me try it out. And at the time, it was active rain days. Remember? Right.
Yeah.
I'm probably super aging myself. So there was a competition for a blog. And I'll tell you this because it's crazy. I just transferred my blog from Drupal to WordPress, back to WordPress, like in this month. I'm working on that transfer. And so I was correcting all my 404 errors from that transfer. This is nuts. Every single not every single, let's assume 50% of the 404 errors are link love to other industry blogs that are no longer exist. They're gone. That just says a lot. Not only did I start early, but I'm one of the only ones that still exists, that's still up. It's nuts.
And you have evolved with the times, would you say?
I have the time for?
No, and would you say you have evolved with the times?
Oh, listen, if we don't grow, what are we? No, absolutely. That's number one. Evolution is number one. Evolution is number one in everything. Technology, especially. Look at what you guys have done with Real Greater. Look at where you started and where you are now. And I think that really puts a really nice perspective on achievement. I mean, it's the reason I'm here with you guys today. So kudos to you guys for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just visited your blog just because I wanted to get a sense of how many blog posts you have. I mean, immediately I see 145 pages and each page has 15, 20. So, I mean, there's at least 3,000 blog posts, and that might not even be all of them. So,
And
I mean, that's
yeah.
And that shows you that just the consistency is key. Because, I mean, so many people go to your blog and read it, and so many people have been following it for so long, they're looking forward to the next article. And that's something great for everybody out there. It's like any new technology you pick up and you're consistent with it and you're committed to it, eventually, one day I'm sure you got notice from Inman and they're like, hey, we've been following your blog and we want you up on stage to talk about blogging. I mean, I was there for that talk, and it was like revolutionary at the time. Like, people are like, blogging, how does that work? How do you spell that?
You're absolutely right. It's.
Go ahead, please.
No, go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, right now, talking about evolution with Real Greater, we're actually launching a couple new programs. And now we have become less patient with how we're coaching our agents, rather than saying, we know it's hard, but a little effort is better than nothing. Now we're saying, do you want to be in business, or are you planning to pick a different career? Because this is serious. Like, we only want action takers. We're literally telling them, people in our presentations, we want action takers. If you're not an action taker, you may not be in the right training. We tell them. So as you're evolving, as you're still on the edge, how are you currently expanding yourself other than from the blog? Like, how much social media do you do? What platforms do you enjoy to use? All of that.
Listen, again, evolution is crazy. I remember the Twitter days when we would have one-on-one conversations, and then Twitter became a curated site for news. So that's how that evolved. And we're kind of going back into conversations, which is kind of cool. So Twitter was always a really great tool. I was actually MC of the IOI Summit this past year in August. And all the technologies that presented on stage for that pitch battle were all on LinkedIn. And I had actually left LinkedIn kind of like on the sideline And then all of a sudden it opened my eyes last August. Oh my God, I have to get back on LinkedIn. So it's one of those that we used to think LinkedIn is more of the professional, and you know what? It's conversations. Guess what? The ones that are moving the mark today are on LinkedIn, period. So remember that phase of Facebook where everyone was on Facebook, and there's been so many changes and so many things. I think that has gone away. One big, huge time suck for me, and I'll just admit it from the get-go, is Instagram. So what happened with me with Instagram is that I'm very visual and I love photography, and imagine photographing Miami. Miami is all over my Instagram, but it was just, I didn't get the ROI. I'm super good always about looking at all the social media platforms and where I'm getting return from my time and investment. And I'm always very good about analyzing, maybe I shouldn't spend that much time on that particular platform. And I never gave up on Instagram. On Instagram was like, okay, I may not be getting the business, but I love it so much. So that was my personal decision. So I switched throughout the years because I'm always analyzing, where I'm getting the best engagement and more of the conversations. It's not static, in other words.
What are your thoughts on TikTok?
You know what it is? Like, I love doing reels for fun. Like with my husband and my pets, and I grab the song and I have a lot of fun with it. I don't like, it's in my head. So I'm not saying it's bad. I know so many agents that are doing beautifully with TikTok. It's just in my head. It's like, I don't want to dedicate the time. I just want to have fun with it. So that's what I'm doing. Although not TikTok directly, I'm just using reels on Instagram just because time is just a little bit limited. My bandwidth is on negative lately, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. How many times do you go on TikTok and you just start scrolling and then you look at your time? It's like, oh no, I just lost an hour. It happens all the time.
It's addicting.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking is because we are right now in the cusp of taking multiple initiatives, right? Grow inside Instagram, grow inside TikTok, because we want to lead by example. And at the same time, like you said, it's a time suck, and we're putting together our team. I myself, I started watching those trends, got on the beach with my suit, and I did a special move that I saw somebody else do, got us the most views, but keeping up with that was a different story.
Oh, you're in trouble now. I'm looking that up right now when we hang up.
He got really messy with that suit on the beach, I gotta say. It's good.
But I mean, what I love about what you're saying is that you're doing it out of your commitment to what you love. And that's what makes you pop out. You're not trying to be like the next person. You're not just trying to follow, some, super popular person on Instagram. You're doing your own thing. And that really cuts through everything. It's like, yeah, we want to hear your voice. What would you recommend now to agents? How did you find your voice? I mean, this is probably many, many years ago, but at some point you decided, okay, this is me. How did you get there?
You know what? I think blogging helped me. I don't think a lot of people are blogging today, but one of the rules of blogging is not to write, because I hated writing. So it's not like I was the writer, when I started. I really do not like writing. But the beauty of blogging is that you have to write with the way that you speak, the way that you communicate. So it's very informal, right? So that was my voice in blogging. So people would read and know me without seeing me, which was crazy. Now we have so many more tools for people to get to know you visually as well and to hear you, like we are right now, which is nuts. But so finding that voice was great. And then the authenticity aspect of it was, who cares if I have an accent? Who cares if I move my hands like crazy when I speak? That's what makes me, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of agents are a little skeptical of or embarrassed to show themselves on video because they think they're not going to look good or they're not pretty enough or whatever it is. And that's not it. It's not it at all. We have to prove our value. And my value was the knowledge that I could offer. Data to me is just insane. I just love data analytics. That's why I'm at Avanti Way. So Alex mentioned knowing my market really well. So the combination of data and the combination of architecture, historic homes, and marketing just made sense for me. So the voice came slowly. It didn't, oh, here's my voice. Here I am. I had to do a lot of tests.
That's huge. You know, during a recent Miami real estate event, we actually, what we did is we set up a camera with a tripod, a green screen, and then we had agents come by and do their own TikToks. And the funniest thing was they were so excited about it that we said, okay, we're going to play this song for you and you're going to dance. And when you put your hand like this, the effect is you disappear. So you're saying goodbye to 2021. And they were also excited, but the music in the event was so loud, we couldn't play it to them. They couldn't hear it. So what I did, I was singing the song to them. And they didn't care. They just jammed to my singing and did the effect. We had like 25 agents do their thing. And
that's awesome.
I think that speaks a lot to, if you want to be successful, if you want to grow, if you really want to identify your voice and let people find you, the first place you got to start with, are you having fun? Are you doing something you love?
Yeah, listen, I completely agree. And there's something else that, let's assume you are not that fun person. Let's assume you are that very formal, dry, which is fine. Then don't fight it. Don't try to be the fun, energetic person, be the serious person. Again, I think that the power of social media and what we do is attract like-minded individuals. So there's nothing worse than if you hate people that are charismatic, to work with them would be like a nightmare. It would be super crazy. So that's the magic, again, Sonia Simone's point of writing, of doing, of talking to your perfect consumer, that favorite client of yours is one of the best advices that I've ever heard on stage from anyone.
Nice.
So Ines, let me ask you, you probably are not such a big fan of like looking into the future, like nobody has a crystal ball, but let me just you've been in so many, really leadership positions. Where do you see the market going? What would you say are the things agents need to know about? What do they need to be doing so that they can keep up with the times, be successful, and like sort of like have a sense of being ready for what's coming?
Well, listen, I think we can learn from history. And although I don't have a crystal ball, the hot market we've been in, we're at a very, very high top of that market, and it's bound to come down. So I think agents today need to prepare for that. What is plan B? So having a plan B is always very, very important. What do I see? Obviously, we're seeing interest rates go up, right? We don't have any inventory. Fine. There's no single family home inventory in the nation. It's a crisis, actually, that we're going through. That's actually helped our condo market, because our condo market needs to be hot because there's no single family homes. We got to move the condos. But the reality is interest rates are going up. We're going to start seeing an increase in inventory. I don't think the price in Miami is going to go down. That is like, people are like, oh, bubble. No, that's definitely not what we're seeing. There is very high demand and very little inventory. So common laws of economics are going to tell you that prices are not going to come down, but the market will slow down a bit. So it's bound to happen. So what is your plan B? What happens when you don't have these multiple offers and bidding wars as a listing agent? What's your next move? And I think that's important for everybody to plan. I learned in my 17 years in the business to look back 6 months. So today I am seeing the rewards of all the marketing I did 6 months ago. Okay. What exactly does that happen is that what you're doing today is going to affect you 6 months from now. So if you're having a really, really great month and you all of a sudden just stop prospecting, you're going to feel it 6 months down the line. So while you are having a really great month or couple of months, do not stop prospecting. Do not stop doing what makes your business strong. Just think of that always, and be ahead of the game, be ahead of the time. Did that answer your question, or did I go
Oh
off
my
on a-
gosh, it answered it so good. I mean, this is the kind of thing we're probably gonna cut this segment of you saying this, show it to all of our agents, because that's precisely what we are making every effort possible to convey to them. Many of them only are looking, I mean, from what I've observed, they're only looking at right now. And then they're thinking, well, I don't know, and I'm not sure, and I'm still learning. And we're saying, nobody, get going already, because you're planning for the future. And like you said, and what is your plan B? And most of them, we don't hear their plan B. They just have plan A. So this is beautiful. You're sharing this with us.
Yeah, and I also love the comfortable.
Thank you. And I'll give you a little story.
Please.
I had an agent sit here with me last week, and she actually asked me, oh, I'm not doing that well this month. I was doing so well. And then I go, okay, let's go back to 6 months. What were you doing 6 months ago? She took a 1-month vacation to Italy. There it is.
Wow.
That's like she stopped prospecting for a month 6 months ago. I was like, there's your answer. You're not doing anything wrong. You did something wrong. Let's try to correct that. And you know that when you're going to go on vacation for a month, if you can do that, oh my God, like hands down to you. That's amazing. But just make sure you don't stop prospecting.
Brilliant. What are your thoughts? Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I got to watch out for 6 months from my last 2-week vacation.
Your European
like, oh, there's
tour.
That Switzerland thing showing up 6 months later.
Oh, I can't believe Ines warned me about that.
No, but we get so comfortable too. That's what I was saying before, is like, you gotta get out. Once you start to get comfortable, you got to get out of that comfort zone if you want to keep expanding and growing. We see it with the sales team all the time. They like record-breaking month, and then the next week is like, what's going on? It's like, you got comfortable,
Yeah.
One last question I'd like to ask you, Ines, before we go. And this is something our favorite, Alex and I, we are on a mission right now to convince the world that working on yourself and having a team and having people that are going to lift you up and hold you accountable to be your very best is a secret to being successful. How do you keep yourself where you are? How do you keep yourself inspired? Do you have a team? Do you have a support system? What do you got?
So let's start with, I teach this to my kids all the time since they were little. If you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. Let's start with that. Surround yourself with smart people. Surround yourself with doers. Get rid of all those naysayers and the ones that drag you down. That's taking me years to learn, but I'm there. Those friends that I call them vampires, that they suck your energy dry. Get rid of them. Like there's no time for that, right? So positivity is great. Be humble. I think there's a lot to be said about, I don't care how much money I'm making. I don't care how many things I'm involved in. Say hi to people, smile, welcome new people into your world. I think there's a lot to be said with that. I joined Avanti Way 3 years ago. My partners are absolutely amazing. They're really, really smart people, thinking outside the box, thinking about the evolution of the industry, and super great techies. And then obviously the prop tech world is just so cool. There's just so many smart people coming into our industry, like you guys. So it's just, I think that's what my motivation comes in. Not only in that prop tech world and smart people coming in technology, but also lately, this is a new world for me. Because I'm also branch leader for Avanti Way, is what I learned for myself and how I got my business at the level I wanted. I'm teaching other agents to get there as well. I'm not selfish about knowledge. I'm not selfish about sharing what I did wrong, what I did right. And seeing those agents flourish, triple their income, and just being grateful is very fulfilling. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. I know it sounds cliche, but at the end of the day, it's always think of where you can give, and the world will reward you.
I think, Ines, you represent the kind side of Miami.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And Miami does have a kind side, obviously.
Yes. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was the jazz festival right in South Beach. I found it just by chance. And what was beautiful was it started with just performer after performer, but at the end of the night, there was this guest performer coming all the way from Brazil. And what was beautiful is that all these people, you can tell there's, tall, short, brown, blonde, all kinds of cultures all in one little place, and they're all dancing and holding hands and doing things together. I'm like, see, that's Miami. You don't get to see it all the time, but it's there, and I think you're one of those people that reminds folks like, hey, this is a beautiful place. Like, focus on what makes you happy. Don't focus on all the problems, because that's just part of it anyways.
That's it. Listen, like, people are like, oh, the traffic, the this, the that. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? I love the traffic. I love it. It just means that we have a really successful city. So I always try to find the positive on everything, So, but thank you for that. That means a lot.
Absolutely. Any last things, Alex?
No, I mean, my last question would be just future technology wise, what's a future technology that you see out there that's intriguing you, that you're like, oh, wow, I want to investigate this more, some trend that we should look into?
To me, as anything right now, it's all about data analytics, because we have so much information at our power in our hands today, but we don't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's the smart people that are doing like predictive analytic models where we should be. That's the future, in my opinion. Let's work smarter. Let's be more efficient with what we do and what efforts we commit to. And I'm in love with everything that has to do with the future of data and what to do with it. And that's where it's at. That's where our money is.
Awesome.
Brilliant. Totally agree. Well, thank you so much, Ines, for coming to share with us in this podcast. You brought us a lot of, happy insights. You did drop a lot of wisdom in there that I think are going to benefit a lot of agents. Very inspiring. So we look forward to having you in the near future, talk about some new developments as we both grow and just seeing how things develop for everyone.
Listen, thank you for having me. You guys are truly amazing. And I'll say it again, what Real Greater is doing and how you guys have evolved and how you're helping agents is fantastic. So kudos to the whole team for being absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll let them know.